Welcome to the Inevitable You podcast, where we challenge your view of reality, evolve your vision of you, and transform your life. On today's show, we will be talking about how successful people think and create reality, and how you can implement these strategies for yourself. William Sumner is an extraordinary life coach who focuses on the latest technology of how the mind works and creates reality. He also emphasizes this importance of the law of attraction, and will talk about how changing the way you think is vital for succeeding and attracting the things you want in life. Let me introduce you to William.
There's going to be a percentage of you that are having problems, having challenges, have a life that's less than, has some pain in your life, anything that is from reality creation purposes, a challenge for you. The other percentage of people that I want to talk to and are going to want to call in and talk with us tonight is people that are doing very, very well in their life, very successful at the top of their game, and they're seeking more, wanting more edges, more of the top of the mountain. Because what I do is I teach neural pattern programming. Neuro-linguistic programming is the science name, and it's really about how your mind works, how your brain works at creating your reality. So what we're going to be talking about tonight is how successful people create reality. And we're going to be talking about how people that have a life that's pain, less than, challenged, troubled, problemed, and we're going to talk about how they create reality. And the really exciting thing that we're going to talk about is the fact that both use the same processes, the same mechanics, the same science. And one is creating a life that is half full and exciting and getting more of what they want. And the others are creating less than and are getting a life a little less than what they want. And by the way, not because they're dumb or stupid or broken or there's anything wrong with them. They learned these patterns back at a formative age. You probably have all heard, it's a very true statement, that studies and research show that about 80 to 90% of who you are, your personality, how you create reality, how you approach life, is baked in by about the time of 4 or 5 years of age. And think about that for a moment. About 4 or 5 years of age, 80 to 90% of you is baked in, meaning your parents have taught you that life is safe, life is good. They've taught you life is dangerous, life is risky. They've taught you that you are smart, you are brilliant. They've taught you that, no, you, not so much. You're not going to do so well in life. Or life is a dangerous place, and the best that you can do is follow a strategy of safety or follow a strategy of less risk. Those are reality creation strategies that take place in our mind. Parents and life and formative teachers teach them to us. I call this living in the land of giants. And think about it. You're 2, you're 3, you're 4. You're looking up at, and you can even do this as long as you're not driving. If you're sitting somewhere listening to this station, you can, just bend your head back and look up. That even puts your brain in a certain physiology, a certain learning physiology. You're looking up at giants and you're asking them, you're begging with them, teach me, tell me what the world is about. And they're telling you generally in boundary neural pattern or boundary information, meaning here's your boundaries, here's what's safe, don't go beyond this point, or don't do this, or don't spill the milk, or don't create a problem for yourself. So they're making sure that you're safe within your boundaries. While other parents, and they're in the minority, are really creating possibilities and creating unlimited boundaries and limitless possibilities. And they're telling their children, pour the milk carefully, be great, go win, go create your life at a high level. And whether you came with a set of parents that gave you challenges or a set of parents that gave you resources and enabled you and empowered you, you learned a certain strategy for creating life. So we're going to talk about that. So If you have problems, if you have challenges, they could be, you're not getting what you want. You don't have promotions at work. Your relationship isn't working the way that you want it to work. The success side of life, who are these people? Well, first of all, we know that at a less than 10% level, less than 10% of the world has over 98% of everything that we can measure. The easy ones like money and wealth fall into less than 10%. And when you look at intangible things like love or relationships or happiness or joy or the good things in life, less than 10% has over 98% of what the planet has to offer us. 90% or more is left stretched for, reaching for the remaining 2%. Now, why is that? Well, when I mentioned earlier, don't spill the milk, it's a common metaphor used in neuroprogramming. And I want you to think about the child that is told, Billy, don't spill that milk. It's by generally a well-intentioned mom or dad that's watching a child. You might have been that child being told what not to do. And there's a couple of really bad things that happens to someone's brain when you tell them don't spill the milk. The first thing that happens is that in order to create not spilling the milk, their brain has to image and create every possible act that would generate spilling the milk. So you're sitting there, and the counterintuition about this, the irony of this, is that the more conscientious that child is, the more that child is trying to be successful, the harder it is to succeed. Because they're not going to think of 50 ways to spill milk. They're going to think of 200 ways to spill milk. So they're sitting there going, ooh, I could spill it that way. Don't do that. I could spill it that way. Don't do that. Ooh, that's a giant way. Don't do that. And while they're in this imagery, while they're in these neural pattern processes that were created by the program, don't spill the milk, these children will have the imagery, they'll raise the possibility, actually, that they're going to spill milk. At the same time, that's not the worst thing that happened. I said there were two. The second thing that happens to that child, when you look at how the brain creates feelings, meaning I feel happy, I feel sad, I feel angry, I feel hurt, I feel great, I feel ambivalent. Here's how the brain works. The brain will look at what's taking place in your life at that moment. It will say, okay, this is a safe moment, this is a happy moment, this is a good moment, this is a dangerous moment for me. And when the brain creates that meaning, it will communicate with the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus will flood your body with neuropeptides. These are chemical hormonal markers that will create for you that feeling associated with the brain meaning. And when the brain creates that meaning and you then begin to create that feeling, it floods your body. And so that child who's trying really hard not to spill milk, when you think about what's associated feeling-wise with spilling the milk, you feel anxiety and stress. And as a consequence, you're trying really hard to follow your giant programming. And in the end, you feel bad. You have a high probability of not being successful.
I want to take a moment to thank you for listening to the Inevitable You podcast. If you are seeking additional information about what we have been talking about, please visit www.theinevitableyou.com.
You tell a child, hey, Billy, pour the milk carefully. You put it in the positive neural construction. There's a number of great things that take place. The first thing that happens is now the conscientious child that is focusing on pouring the milk carefully, when he or she thinks of 200 ways to pour the milk carefully, they're going to be even more successful. They're going to walk slow. They're going to use two hands. They're going to, and even when they fail, let's say they actually spill the milk, they'll go, oh, I know why I failed. The mouth of the milk glass was too small, or I was pouring too quickly. They'll self-correct, and they will feel successful in that neural process. And the second great thing that happens, just like the other child, the neural peptides that are associated with the action of pouring the milk carefully is one of success, is one of feeling great, is one of high self-esteem. This is how I can do that. I'm often asked by parents, how do you create high self-esteem with children? Well, the first thing that takes place is give them positive commands and give them positive creations on how to do what you want them to do, commanded in the positive, and their brains will work very differently. They'll have very different neural chemistry than those children that spend a lot of time in the negative commands. The first caller I'd like to take is Joel. Joel, you're on the air.
Hello.
Hey, Joel, how are you tonight?
So am I like the very first caller ever?
You are the inaugural caller on the Inevitable Radio Show. So I don't know if you want to put that in your scrapbook or not. I might put it in mine.
Well, the reason I'm calling is I was just wondering if what you're talking about essentially, is it constructivism?
There's a number of terms that would be included in this. That is certainly a subset of this, but it's really it's a broader pattern because neural programming really takes place not only in what you construct, it's in how you remember, it's how you imagine and create creativity. It will affect intuition. So there's a number of areas that neural programming takes place, and constructivism is certainly one of them.
Okay. So in other words, would it be fair to say, and I'll be honest, I haven't heard everything you were saying because, the first thing you do when you call in is you turn your radio down, so I didn't get the entire spiel. But so it's a little bit of constructivism. Let's see. I guess my question is, what about like natural consequences within the context that you're discussing? I mean, obviously, positive programming and all of that is all well and good, but under the just, empirically, stuff happens, okay? Let's just put it that way. And when it does, how do people who are kind of positively programmed in the way you're talking, how do they deal with that when stuff does happen and natural consequences take place?
Well, let's take a look at this child that's been programmed by very conscientious parents. They're now adults. They're out there in their jobs. And the way their mind works is generally now it's going to be in where's my boundary and don't mess this up, don't screw this up, don't create a problem for myself. So maybe they're the ones that sit in a parking lot before they go on a sales call and go, oh, I hope I don't screw the sales call up, or I hope I don't lose this deal, or they sit there on another job and worry about all the things that can go wrong. Whereas the successful child, higher self-esteem, grew up, they're sitting in a parking lot, they're going like, I can't wait to go in and win this business. I can't wait to see this customer. I can't wait to face this challenge at work today because I know I'm going to come out a winner at the end of the day. What takes place when you're focused on not succeeding, and then in fact you don't succeed? There's a neural reinforcement that's, I'm going to say I'm a loser, and I don't mean that lightly, and I don't mean that necessarily even literally. People that are struggling in jobs out there, most of them don't sit there and think I'm a loser. Some of them do. But when you look at the one that didn't get the win, they think, oh, there's the problem was with me. I screwed this up. The one who's programmed as a winner, the one who's programmed to succeed, they'll look at not getting that business or not being successful, and their focus will be, why wasn't I successful? Or what happened that I didn't win? Because the next time I'm going to win. The next time I'm going to get this business. The next time I will do this challenge. So the patterns that begin at this young age will even work deeper into the mind, and that's why constructivism is a subcategory. These neural patterns flow over into even broader arenas. So, Joel, thank you very much for that call. That was a great question.
Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you very much for being the inaugural caller.
Okay.
Let's go over. Take care. Let's go over to Sandy on line 2. Sandy, you're on the air. Oh, Sandy, looked like you had a great question. Her question was, knowing this program and how do you overcome it, which is a great question. One of the exciting things and why I want you guys to call me and challenge this or ask questions about this or seek the information that you need to actually make this work in your life and do something different in your life. It's a very common question. Okay, now I've identified a problem. It makes a lot of sense to me. I understand, that I'm focused on not succeeding. For those of you that are a little bit on the newer age side of things, or those of you that are Oprah watchers, Oprah over a year ago debuted The Secret, which is a movie that's been floating around a little over 2 years now. Very well done movie. It's got a couple of problems, but a very, very well done. The best on the block as far as I'm concerned. And it's really about it's called The Law of Attraction, and it says what you think and what you focus on is what you get. And it goes further in that. But what it makes a great point about is when you know what you don't want and when you focus on what you don't want, people don't understand, why do I tend to get that? If I don't want to be in debt, if I don't want a bad relationship, if I don't want an abusive mate, if I'm really tired of this. And when they come into my office and sit down and talk to me, the first question I'll always ask somebody is, why are you here? What do you want? 90% of them will tell me what they don't want. They go, I'm here. Can you help me, man? I'm so sick of this. I'm so tired of this. I don't want this anymore. And I'll go, great. What do you want? Well, no, you're not listening to me. I'm tired of this. I don't want that in my life anymore. They have a really hard time at even picturing or imagining or using the language or creating the thought patterns. And those are the people that say, oh my God, I've tried self-help. I've read a great book made really great sense to me, but I woke up the next day, my life was the same. I couldn't do anything about that. And the challenge in that case is, when you know what you want, you begin to recruit a different part of the mind. You get different neural patterns. You begin to notice different things. And in fact, there's an actual scientific name for this. This is called the reticular activation system, the RAS. And all of you, although it's a big term, you guys are all neural practitioners. You know what the RAS does. When you buy a new car, what do you see everywhere the next day?
The new car.
The new car. Yeah, there it is. Oh, there's my color even. That car was there the day before, but your brain knew it wasn't important to you. When you begin to command your brain in the positive, all kinds of different things begin to happen for you.
Thank you very much for tuning in to the Inevitable You podcast. I hope you enjoyed today's show. Please visit our website, theinevitableyou.com, for more information. Please tune in next week for more discussion on the law of attraction and the Inevitable You coaching system.